welcome to the Daryl Talks podcast. This is your host, Daryl, and today we are going to be doing something just a little bit different. It is an interview, and it's probably my most nerve-wracking one yet, because I thought, what are the chances that I'm ever going to be able to interview somebody who is about to pop a baby? So you won't know this, but my wife is heavily pregnant. She is 37 weeks as we're recording this, so by the time this is released, I could actually have another human in my household. So without further ado, I'd like to welcome you, my beautiful, angelic super wife, Liz.
Super wife, wow. What an intro, thank you.
You are most welcome. How are you feeling?
Heavy.
Just heavy.
Yeah, at this moment I just feel very heavy.
So before Liz actually even said hello, we had to prop her up with an extra pillow. At this rate, we are going to have to get a hoist to get her out of here.
It's funny actually, so second time round, I feel heavier this time, but I'm carrying less. So I'm not as big as I was with our daughter.
I think there's just more to love.
I definitely feel there's a lot more of me currently, yeah.
This pregnancy is completely different in my eyes to what our first was. You seem a lot more frustrated. Is that safe to say? Or
I think when you're running around after an 18-month-old all day, every day, things are going to be different anyway. But it is definitely different second time around. I mean, you're far more relaxed about the whole pregnancy. Well, I feel far more relaxed about the whole pregnancy situation because you kind of loosely know what you're getting yourself into. But because I've been working alongside that, I mean, I'm tired. When Lyra doesn't sleep at night and you just generally have a rough night or a rough day, you just struggle more. And like I said, I just feel very heavy.
so, just for context, I, up until the ripe age of about 32, was the lightest sleeper. I've always struggled with sleep. I've tried all the hints and tips and tricks, and none of it worked.
Unless he had 2 pints and then,
Yeah, Liz found out on holiday that if I have 2 pints, I will literally sleep anywhere. 3 and then I start getting rowdy. But 2 is like the prime napping sort of phase in the sun. So it could be like 10 o'clock in the morning on an all-inclusive. And she's like, oh, I think the bar's open. I'll go and get you a drink. All because I'm not very good at relaxing. So I've always struggled with sleep. It was cured the day Lyra was born. I am now the heaviest sleeper. I sleep like an absolute baby, and it is amazing. Not so good when becoming a father and wanting to help out as much as possible, but a good sleeper nonetheless. Also, Lyra really doesn't like daddy in the night. She wants mummy.
Yeah, that is a problem, isn't it? I don't know why she does that, because she doesn't really want mummy during the day, because daddy's far more fun and entertaining, but at night time, all about mummy.
So what I've done today is used ChatGPT and asked the question, podcast questions for parents about to have another baby. So I think it's best if I just read the questions out and you give your opinion, I'll give mine.
Yeah.
How's that?
Perfect.
So question number 1 is, what's different about preparing for your second child compared to your first?
With your first, you're just completely unknown, even if, we've got a ton of nieces and nephews, so we've always been around children, babies. But doing it yourself it's just a whole different kettle of fish. So with your first one, you just have, honestly, no idea, really, of what you're letting yourself in for. But with your second, or third, or fourth, or whatever, there's so much more knowledge around what you need and what you should be doing and what you shouldn't be doing and just getting prepared. But because of that, I feel like both of us are far too laid back and we actually haven't done anything as of yet.
I would have to agree. We have done absolutely nothing in terms of...
We've brought some nappies.
Yeah, and I've started doing the nursery with a lot of help. I hate DIY. I cannot stress enough how much I hate DIY. Ask me to make something up, I'm perfect. I'm way more creative than I am practical. So for just a simple task which a normal person would just be like, yeah, that's fine. Knock that up in an hour or so. That's me avoiding it for days and finally getting to it and it taking days because I literally have no clue on what I'm doing. Yes, I've been trying my best, but we do really have to get going.
It's all coming together. Well, it will all come together. Now that I'm on maternity leave, I've got a bit more time.
Yeah, get a move on.
I mean, what have you really got to do? Just wash some clothes, pack a bag. Done.
Liz is a lot more laid back than me. I'm the anxious, panicky worrier. And Liz is just like, yeah, man, what will be, will be. Second question is, how do you plan to balance your time and attention between your children?
At this point, I have absolutely no idea. I think, I don't know. I don't know how anybody can answer that until you're in the moment, to be honest. I would like to think it would be a nice 50-50 split, but it's never going to happen. A newborn is going to be far more needy initially than our daughter.
I mean, Lyra's quite needy as well, isn't she?
Oh yeah, but then she's also quite independent in that she does sort of go off and play and she reads her books and things like that. Whereas obviously a newborn can't do that, and they absolutely need you 100%.
And also, Lyra will love to help out.
Yeah, so that, which is lovely, because she's so attentive to like her little baby dolls, and she's got a cousin who's 6 months old who she absolutely adores and likes to get involved and help out by handing her auntie a nappy and the wet wipes and getting her baby bottle and all of these sorts of things. So it's lovely to see, but at the same time she can be quite forceful, so she likes to rub poor little Maisie's back, which turns into what looks like a bit of a beating.
Yeah, and I'd like to also note that she didn't learn that from us.
No.
I am exactly the same as that. I struggle to balance one baby. I'm just going to be like a get on with it sort of person, just get stuck in and obviously help out as much as possible. I know that sounds like a bit of a sad answer, but I'm much more of an entertainer than a nurturer. So when the baby needs entertaining, I'll be right in there. And if I've got to entertain two people,
The more the merrier for you.
absolutely. And the third question, are there any lessons you've learnt from parenting your first child that you'll apply differently this time?
I don't know, it's all still a bit fresh and new for being a parent the first time, to be perfectly honest.
I think we're going to have to put the baby down more.
Yeah, which is a shame really, isn't it?
There will be times where 100% we're going to have to.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and I completely get that. But it is a shame because with Lyra, she was just my whole world for 9 months. So if we wanted to have a little snuggle on the sofa for an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, that's exactly what we do. And she'd be in my arms or my chest, whatever. Whereas this time around, obviously, it is going to be different.
So I'm guessing ignoring Lyra's out of the question.
Well, to a degree.
Just saying. So taking the chat GPT out of it, is there anything you're going to do this time that you either didn't do or should have done last time?
One thing that I think, personally, that I think I'll do more this time is feel a bit more comfortable and a bit more confident to say no to people. If I feel absolutely exhausted or had a really rough night or I just want some time with my children, I will just say no to people popping in for a cup of tea, coming around for baby cuddles. Like I just, with Lyra, you kind of feel obliged to keep everyone happy, and everyone wants to meet the new baby and everyone wants newborn cuddles, and I completely get that. But at the same time, we're adding another member to our family and we need that time. So I think this time round I'll definitely feel more comfortable to say no to people.
Which probably means I'm going to spend more time loosening Liz's abrupt wording.
I can't possibly know what you're talking about.
For me, I would like to be more involved in bedtimes. That is something that I think we both agree it is a every other night jobby, because it's become a real issue down the line. And obviously you don't know that when it's your first. You just think, right, let's solve that problem. But you don't think about it 12 months down the line.
You do whatever's easiest in the moment, don't you? And ultimately, it was easier for me to put Lyra to bed.
And it still is.
Well, yeah, no, exactly.
Because sometimes when I go in to console her, I literally make it worse.
She does eventually calm down, but 5-10 minutes she gets a bit manic.
The next question is, what are your expectations for sibling dynamics? How do you plan to foster a strong bond between your children? How are you going to help them get on, Liz?
Well, I'd like to think that they will naturally get on and will love each other dearly, regardless.
Also, are you able to just give your prediction? Do you think it's going to be a boy or a girl?
So, I think it's going to be a girl, only because we've already had a girl. And I was convinced we were having a boy with Lyra. And when you told me we'd had a girl, I was in utter disbelief for about 3 or 4 hours after. Kept saying he. I did not believe we'd had a little girl.
Also, there was a brief moment where I didn't know what we had because things were a bit swollen on baby. I couldn't tell, is the honest truth. I think we're having a boy, partly because you think we're having a girl. I would like a boy, because then we've got one of each. However, for those of you who know me, I'm probably destined to be surrounded by females.
I tell everyone that. Honestly, I absolutely say that all the time. Daryl is destined to be surrounded by women. His whole life.
A womanizer.
Oh, please.
Office stud.
You wish.
Trophy husband. Yeah, it's tough being me.
But just going back to what you said about this pregnancy being different, it has been so different because with Lyra, from 20 weeks, so halfway, she was breech, which meant she was basically flipped the wrong way up, her head was up and her feet were down, which, you know, in real life, that's great. But for a baby, obviously, that's a flipping nightmare.
Literally flipping nightmare.
Flipping nightmare. And she didn't move. So from 20 weeks, she didn't move. She was breech throughout half of the pregnancy. They tried to turn her 3 times and absolute devil child point blank refused. Whereas this baby isn't breech and has like free roam of the whole space that they have. And I feel like they've got so much space as well that I'm like, my belly, it has like this ripple effect when the baby starts moving, and there's different feelings that I'm getting this time around, and I'm being kicked in the ribs, and I didn't have any of that with Lyra. So maybe it is a boy.
You heard it here first. Next question. How will you navigate any potential challenges or concerns that arise during the transition to a family of 4, which is actually a family of 5 because we've got a dog?
And he is my firstborn. Very hairy firstborn, but nevertheless.
Why does ChatGPT make it so like blah? Basically, it is saying any challenges that come up with the integration of having a bigger family, what are you going to do about them?
Someone outside. Probably the husband.
Yeah, okay. I could do with a peace and quiet, probably. You can't give me that. The back gate's open.
Yeah.
Pub's right near.
Yeah, pub's way too close. I don't know. It's hard to say, isn't it? So, just at this moment, it's just take each challenge as it comes. And I think that we're pretty good at talking things through anyway.
Can't shut me up, really. We reevaluate quite often, don't we? If we've tried something with Lyra and it hasn't worked, we've literally just gone, right, we'll stop that, or we'll do this, and we'll put up with the struggle in the meantime. But it's eventually we've worked.
But also, like, I think we're really good at adjusting to a situation, no matter what that situation is, and adapting to the surrounding that we're in. Yes,
we're like chameleons of the human world.
Yeah, sure, absolutely. But we do adjust really well, and quite quickly.
Yeah, I would agree with that. It depends on the problem, doesn't it? How you react to it.
I'm cool as a cucumber.
Yeah. What advice do you have for other soon-to-be parents of multiple children?
Sorry, the baby's kicking me. Just enjoy it. Just absolutely enjoy every moment. It's going to be tough, and I know it's going to be tough. I mean, I don't live under a rock, but I think it's hard. It's hard for me to give advice. I'm not very good at
Taking advice.
taking advice at the best of times.
Yeah.
So I try not to dish out too much advice. I think everyone's journey is their own, and it's up to them as individuals or as families to go through it.
And I'd say from like a bloke's perspective, this is the one time I would recommend holding your tongue in the moment. So when she is getting ratty or she's snappy and she has blown up something that started from nothing, just take a very small moment before you snap back or speak your mind, because a second later it could all be sorted and forgotten about.
I feel like you're talking from experience here.
No, I heard it from a mate, actually.
Cool as a cucumber.
Yeah. I would just take a moment, be a bit more patient. Yes, blokes have a bit more expected of them than they used to.
You're so hands-on. Perv.
Well, that's how you got in this mess. And you let me. We live in a consensual society. In all seriousness, I could never be like their traditional, what was traditional dads. But there's always that part of me that just thinks, I wonder what it was like for a bit.
I bet it was hard work for the mothers.
But they wouldn't know that.
Well, the dads wouldn't
No.
know that. I don't know. I reckon some of them might have got a bit of an earful, depending on who their partners were.
Right, moving on to the next question before we don't make it. How do you plan to involve your first child in the process of welcoming their new sibling? Oh, that's a goodie, actually, and I read it first time without cocking it up.
Well done, you. How are you going to involve Lyra? So, she's so young. So, she's 18 months. She's just 18 months. She has absolutely no idea that we're about to have a baby. All she knows is that
Mummy's getting a bit more rotund.
Mummy's tummy.
Bit shorter and of patience.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Breasts getting bigger.
Right, so on that, so she notices Mummy's tummy is suddenly sticking out, more so than usual. But she's also noticed Mummy's boobies all of a sudden.
So's Daddy.
Back to my previous comment. Perv. So Lyra's not really aware, well, she's not aware at all that she's about to become a big sister, that what that means is there's going to be a little tiny human in her life all the time. She doesn't know that. So for me, it's just going to be just introducing her to her brother or sister and just seeing how it goes.
Hopefully she's got the adaptability bit that we have.
Yeah,
and just learns this new way.
I think she'll be absolutely fine. She absolutely loves like playing with her dollies and her little baby dolls and
feeding them, changing their bums.
Yeah, she's really hands-on anyway. So I think she'll be absolutely fine.
I'm grateful her baby isn't ours, actually, because the amount of poos it goes for.
Honest to God.
I just think we will just get on with it, won't we? Just, here's your brother or sister.
Yeah, and whether that's, whether that introduction happens at the hospital or if it happens at home. But yeah, ultimately, she will be the first person to meet her little brother or sister. And yeah, I'm sure in the moment she'll perhaps be a little bit confused, but ultimately will be absolutely fine.
Next question. I got rid of one. How do you plan to prioritise self-care and maintain a strong partnership with your partner amidst the demands of parenting two children? Now, I'm interested with this question, Liz, actually.
Are you worried you're going to be left behind or feel left out or
No.
Neglected?
Neglected in some ways.
Okay. What about me being neglected?
Yeah, but yours will just be like neglected of sleep.
No, what about you neglecting me for our children? It only goes one way.
Yeah, I'm too needy.
I'm
too needy to be... there is so much of me to go around. Yeah, we could have a house full of people and I would still manage to care for all of them.
Yeah, but they're not all your wife.
It doesn't matter. Unless this could be a whole new podcast. How do you feel about me having multiple wives? You could be the one that gets pregnant.
Oh, because I'm so good at it.
Christ, the look I'm being given. No, I'm only joking.
Sorry, read the question again.
How do you plan to prioritise self-care and maintain a strong partnership with your partner?
I'd like to think that nothing's going to change in terms of our relationship. Obviously it will. It will be strained and we'll be tired and we'll have to do things differently. But ultimately it still comes back to we still talk about everything. We spend hours talking about things, how we're feeling, about this, about that. And I don't think that's ever going to change. Like I said, there will be times, of course there's going to be times when we probably want to absolutely throttle one another, but that will just be simply down to the moment of either being absolutely exhausted or if you haven't hoovered properly or...
We had that yesterday. There was nearly a murder.
I nearly went to bed with no tea.
So, how are we going to find the time to have sex?
I don't think we'll ever have sex again. I mean, we've had sex twice and look at the state we're in.
Fair enough. Like, I can't really argue that from your point of view. Because you're literally wearing the aftermath.
Yeah, currently.
Whereas, I just fall asleep after a minute.
I think there's always time for each other.
I think we'll just have to make time. I think that's going to be key.
But also, I think it's about not rushing to make time as well.
Yeah.
Like, we know from, obviously, experience that having a newborn, you obviously don't sleep a lot. And you don't sort of spend a lot of time together unless you're talking about the baby or dealing with the baby. And I think as long as we're realistic with it, we know that in the first couple of months, no, it's unlikely that we're going to have sex.
Sorry, couple of months.
Couple of months. Because also the baby's going to be in our room.
Could we put the baby outside?
In the garden.
Well, it doesn't have to be in the garden. In the kitchen. Well, that answers that one. Ladies, if there's anybody out there intrigued in a throuple,
don't contact my husband. Because he'll just say yes.
Don't let my wife know you've contacted her husband. Next question. What are you most looking forward to about expanding your family?
Exactly that. Expanding our family. Having more to love.
See, I'm just watching Lyra play and I literally, my heart breaks because I want her to have someone to play with. And I know that she's not going to feel that way all the time.
She is going to be the best big sister.
Had an invisible friend until my sister was born.
Ah, that's sad. Destined to be surrounded by females.
When you look like this, it's difficult not to be. Don't laugh. Anyway, back to the main question. What are you most looking forward to? I'm just looking forward to seeing both of them grow up. In a selfish way, I'm looking forward to seeing who gets which bit, because we are both very different and we work really well.
Chalk and cheese, I think they say, don't they?
Yeah, which I've never really understood.
Who eats chalk?
The hybrid of us. If it's the wrong way round, it's going to be a disaster.
What's the wrong way round?
Well, if Lyra ends up being extremely flirty.
Because you are the biggest flirt.
Yeah, like I'm going to hate that. I need her to have your prudeness.
I am not a prude.
And then if we have a boy, then he can be flirty. I can teach him all the moves.
Why is it okay for a boy to be flirty and not a girl?
Don't know why. It just does.
I disagree.
Yeah, you would. Yeah, so I'm just
You would.
I cannot wait, but then I also don't want them to grow up.
But no, so we've talked at times about, I wonder what they'll be like when they're like 10 years old or teenagers or adults even. And you think, what will they look like? What will they sound like? What will they be doing with their lives?
What is the worst advice you've been given or you think you've been given?
The worst advice, so in relation to pregnancy, babies?
Yeah.
The worst advice I've been given is probably sleep when the baby sleeps.
Why?
Who on earth has time to sleep when the baby sleeps? You are literally, anyone that says it to new and expected mothers, It's just mean that you're building that mother up to think, oh my goodness, yeah, baby sleeps for like 20 hours a day. I'm going to get so much rest. I'm going to feel so rested. That is not reality at all.
I mean,
Unless you're Daryl.
I had a nap with Lyra on me today.
Honest to
So
God.
I completely disagree.
So, yeah, sleep when the baby sleeps. Yes, hindsight, that would be absolutely marvellous. I'm sorry to break it to you. It doesn't always happen. Who does all these other things that happen around the house, like puts the washing on or does the dishes or, just make a cup of tea and sit and drink it whilst it's warm? How do you propose doing all of that if you're sleeping? It doesn't happen. Sorry. Worst advice. I'm quite passionate about it, as you can tell.
Yeah, I got that.
What, from a man's point of view, though, you must get loads of ridiculous advice.
No, do you know what?
People not give you advice about
No.
being a dad or being a parent.
No, probably because they know I won't take them seriously, or I'll make a joke of it.
Fair.
For example, when people ask me, when are you going to have another one? My answer has always been, and I think I'm stealing this off a joke from somebody, you can't get pregnant the way we do it. And that doesn't matter whether it's the oldest, loveliest lady. I still say it and just watch the cogs turn.
You love doing stuff like that anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, I do. And I've got the biggest smile on my face just thinking about all the times that I've made somebody else feel really awkward.
You thrive in other people's awkwardness.
Yeah. Cannot think of one bit of advice that I've been given.
At all.
I'm sure I have.
About parenting.
No.
My goodness.
I get told a lot, it gets easier.
Yeah, when they're like 30 and they've moved out.
Probably 40 with the housing prices.
Oh, that amazes me.
Yeah, so if anybody wants to give me any good or bad advice,
Yeah, go on, give them loads of it.
yeah. And I'll read out the best and worst ones in another episode. My last question is, what's your biggest fear going into this?
My biggest fear is... I think my biggest fear is probably... how am I going to split the amount of love that I have for our daughter with another child?
Oh my God, that is 100%, no lie, my answer.
And do you know what? I'm sure there's probably loads of people out there that have had the same thoughts. But seriously, like, I don't feel like I could love another human as much as I love our little girl. That's how I feel in this moment, knowing that we're about to have another baby. And I will love that baby. I love that baby already. But how on earth do you split that love? Do you get more love? Do you start loving less of the first child? What happens?
No, I think the first bit, you get more. I know couples who have not had a second child because of that feeling.
That's mad though, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think it's a completely valid reason. If you think that is the absolute ultimate, however, we clearly don't. Do you know what I mean? We think there's more to give.
Yeah.
Else we wouldn't do it.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
So I think the answer is...
It's just finding where that is.
Might have to just cut off some friends.
Yeah, we got plenty.
Speak for yourself.
I haven't got many mummy friends though. People tell me I should have more mummy friends.
Don't start that. They'll all be round.
I wouldn't say I'm your typical...
You're a bit opinionated.
Okay, that's not quite the road I was going down. I take more of a laid-back approach to parenting.
Yeah, you do and you don't. You say laid back. You are like on it with Lyra.
Well, there's right and wrong. Doesn't mean I can't be laid back. There's still rules.
That you've made.
Like she can't bite people, for example. That's not okay.
Yet she still does.
Yeah, mainly me.
Yeah, she's going through a bit of a biting phase. So
When does that end? Somebody please tell me.
We've currently contemplated putting a
Muzzle on her.
muzzle on her. And
Jokes.
putting on the fridge days without incident. It's like a health and safety thing.
It's when you go to nursery and pick her up, and you knock on the door, and then they come to the door, and you say, "Oh, how was Lyra's day?" And they give you that look. There was an incident today. You think, "Oh, for goodness sake!"
And you get really upset by it. But my first question is, did they deserve it?
I get upset by it because the thought of so she's bitten a child, okay? She's bitten a child at nursery. I've been told she's bitten a child at nursery. They've told me actually that other child is absolutely fine. You know, there was no mark and they were totally over it. We told Lyra off, blah 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 blah. She knows she did wrong, kind of thing. Fine. I then go away and think that poor child's parent or carer who has come to pick them up has had a conversation where there's been an incident today. Somebody has bitten your child. I feel devastated for that person who's being told that information. Because my daughter has done that.
I did tell my daughter on her first day of nursery that she needs to go up to the biggest baby, give him a proper whack, because she now runs this nursery. So maybe she just took my advice a bit too literal.
She's taking it way too far.
Yeah, and she does waltz about the place like she owns it.
Oh, she really does. Like, you knock on the door in the morning and they sort of let you in and whatever, or they let her in. And she just strolls in like it's nothing, like literally home from home.
Have you got any questions for me?
Yeah, so one question I've got for you. Lady Lyra was born via caesarean section because she was breech. This baby, all being well, I won't need to have a section. How do you feel about that? Do you have any concerns or...
I mean, I have loads of concerns.
In what aspect?
Well, I hear things tear a lot.
Yeah, that's a concern.
And I'm used to you tearing me a new one. Also, I feel like there's a lot more people when you're having a cesarean. If anything goes wrong, they are like there. Whereas I feel like there's going to be less people.
Yeah, potentially there'll just be one midwife.
And also, everybody does all these like classes and stuff and rocking and...
Oh, like antenatal classes.
Yeah.
That being said, I've kind of taken the stance, and I did with the first pregnancy, is they will tell me that the professionals in the room will tell me what needs to happen. What I need to be doing.
Will they be telling me?
They'll probably be telling you to move and get out of the way. Or don't faint.
It's going to be really hard not to make a joke.
It's no joking matter, Daryl.
Do you know what? I think I'm going to make a joke. I don't think I'm going to be able to hold it in.
Like what?
Like a good one is when you're going in to get stitched up, could you stick a couple more in there?
That's just such a hideous thing to say. And I bet they hear that all the time.
Be even weirder if they suggested it. I feel like your body goes under a lot more pressure giving birth. That scares the life out of me because in that situation there is absolutely nothing that I can do.
I don't think there's anything I can do either.
As you're bloody well told.
Yeah, which I'm not very good at anyway.
I just hope that you don't think you know better. Because you have a tendency.
I definitely don't know better.
There's been times where you have turned into Dr. Liz.
I mean, some people, honestly, just put a plaster on it, you'll be fine.
And that's the advice I'm going to be giving you.
I might need more than a plaster.
So yeah, that's how I feel about it. I'm worried. You're the strongest person I know, so... There you have it, guys. Thank you so much for listening. If you do enjoy this sort of episode, I would be more than happy, and I'm sure Liz would, come on and do like a follow-up or answer any more questions that you guys have had. Most of all, just thank you ever so much for listening. Thank you for the support. Please keep following and sharing. It means a lot to me.